I want you to watch this clip of the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who talks about the Holocaust and one overlooked aspect of it. This is so important to watch because what he points out is that while, yes, we know about the devastating, unprecedented horrors, the genocide that the Nazis committed against the Jewish people, we sometimes overlook the fact that it occurred in the heart of modern civilization. And what does that mean? What does that tell us about civilization when such civilized people, intelligent people, can do such terrible things? I want you to watch this and then we're going to unpack what he says afterwards. So have a watch.
Such a tale of insanity and diabolical cruelty, it would not be believed. But it did happen. The one message I want to convey today is that you will have missed the most frightening aspect of it all if you do not appreciate that it happened in one of the most educated, most progressive, most cultured countries in the world. The Germany of the late 1920s and early 1930s was a world leader in most fields of art, science, and intellect. Berlin was a center of theater. With the assistance of the famous producer Max Reinhardt, playwrights and composers of the caliber of Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill flourished. Berlin had 3 opera houses, and Germany as a whole no less than 80. Every middle-sized city had its own orchestra. German poets and writers included Hermann Hesse, Stefan George, Leonhard Frank, Franz Kafka, and Thomas Mann, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1929. In architecture, Germany was the cutting edge with Gropius and the Bauhaus School. Musical composers, it boasted painters like Paul Klee and Oskar Schlemmer. Musical composers like Anton Webern, Alban Berg, Arnold Schoenberg, Paul Hindemith. Conductors like Otto Klemperer, Bruno Walter, Erich Kleiber, and Wilhelm Furtwängler. And in science, of course, the Germans were preeminent. To quote a recent article in the Journal of the American Medical Association, in 1933, when the National Socialist Party came to power in Germany, the biomedical enterprise in that country was among the most sophisticated in the world. German contributions to biochemistry, physiology, medicine, surgery, and public health, as well as to clinical training, had shaped to an important degree the academic and practice patterns of the time. And clinical training and research experience in the great German clinics and laboratories had been widely sought for decades by physicians and basic scientists from around the world. To fully grasp the horror of the Holocaust, you must imagine, for it probably happened, that the commandant of Auschwitz or Dachau, when he had finished his day's work, retired to his apartment to eat a meal that was in the finest good taste, and then to listen perhaps to some tender and poignant lieder of Franz Schubert. This aspect of the matter is perhaps so prominent in my mind because I am undergoing currently the task of selecting a college for the youngest of my children, or perhaps more accurately, trying to help her select it. How much stock we place in education, intellect, cultural refinement, and how much of our substance we are prepared to expend to give our children the very best opportunity to acquire education, intellect, cultural refinement. Yet those qualities are only of secondary importance. to our children, and to the society that their generation will create. I am reminded of words written by John Henry Newman long before the Holocaust could even be imagined. He wrote, "Knowledge is one thing, virtue is another. Good sense is not conscience. Refinement is not humility. Liberal education makes the gentleman. It is well to be a gentleman. It is well to have a cultivated intellect, a delicate taste, a candid, equitable, dispassionate mind, a noble and courteous bearing in the conduct of life. These are the connatural qualities of a large knowledge. They are the objects of a university. But they are no guarantee for sanctity or even for conscientiousness. They may attach to the man of the world, to the profligate, to the heartless. Yes, to the heartless. It is the purpose of these annual Holocaust remembrances, as it is the purpose of the nearby Holocaust Museum, not only to honor the memory of the 6 million Jews and 3 or 4 million other poor souls caught up in this 20th century terror, but also by keeping the memory of their tragedy painfully alive to prevent its happening again. The latter can be achieved only by acknowledging and passing on to our children the existence of absolute, uncompromisable standards of human conduct. Mankind has traditionally derived such standards from religion, and the West has derived them from and through the Jews. Those absolute and uncompromisable standards of human conduct will not endure without an effort to make them endure. And it is to that enterprise that we rededicate ourselves today. Those standards are in the Decalogue, and they are in the question put and answered by Micah. What doth the Lord require of thee but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God? And for those 6 million Jews to whom it was not done justly, who were shown no mercy, and for whom God and his laws were abandoned, may we remember their sufferings, and may they rest in peace.
So Justice Scalia's words should give us serious pause for thought. What they show us is that intelligence is not synonymous with morality. Half the Nazis sat round the Wannsee Conference, had PhDs, plotting the death, the genocide of the Jews of Europe. Meanwhile, they were intelligent, civilized people. What does that tell us? The same thing can be said of today. When we look at the great Western intellectuals and institutions, the ICC, the UN, academics, college campuses, the media, hating on the one Jewish state, questioning only one country's right to exist. That should tell you that just because people seem intelligent and smart does not mean that they are moral. And in an age where we're starting to see the rise of artificial intelligence, where soon computers are going to be even more smart than we are, what is the unique contribution that human beings give to the world, or can give to the world? It's not going to be intelligence anymore. That won't be our shining, unique offering to the world. No. As the Torah teaches us, who will be praised? Someone who is moral and God-fearing. That's what humanity can be praised for. When we choose to be moral, when we choose to rise above our base instincts, when we choose not to use intelligence as a way of rationalizing evil. That was part of what happened when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They were suddenly able to rationalize. You can break up the word rationalize into rational lies. Good and evil suddenly become mixed together. In the pre-fallen world, it was all truth and falsehood. It was clear as day. Now suddenly falsehood can dress up as truth. Truth can dress up as falsehood. And so the key thing is that what is to be regarded as virtuous about us, what is it that makes us good? It's our ability to make moral decisions. And that can be whether you're intelligent or not intelligent. Sometimes wisdom is not correspondent to that, to your intelligence. That's why the Hasidic movement actually brought out this idea of praising the simple Jew. Sometimes it's people who are very simple and straightforward, and they know clearly they're right and they're wrong. They, in some ways, are far more praiseworthy than those who are super clever and philosophical and intelligent, but they can use that as a weapon to justify all kinds of terrible things. No, what makes human beings praiseworthy is their ability to choose to become godly, to rise above their base instincts. If you're intelligent, sometimes that can just be a gift. It doesn't take much effort, and it's great, and you're intelligent, wonderful. And intelligence can be a wonderful force for good. But it is not synonymous with morality, and we should be aware of that. So we shouldn't be fooled by how many letters people have attached to their names, and we've seen that so clearly now. In some ways, the Western world in particular worships intelligence and has worshipped that. And part of what we're seeing now is realizing that no, that is not what makes human beings praiseworthy. It's our ability to be godly. And what we should worship is God and God alone. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.